called Spreading Our Long Wing Feathers. Spreading our long wing feathers as we fly, 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 fly. Spreading our long wing feathers as we fly, fly. Circle round and round and round, we circle round and round the corners of the earth, corners of the sky. Spread your long wing feathers as you fly, 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 fly. Spread your long wing feathers as you fly, 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 fly. You circle round and round and round you. You circle round and round the corners of the earth, the corners of the sky. Spreading our long wing feathers as we fly. Spreading our long wing feathers as we fly, 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 fly. We circle round and round. We circle round and round the corners of the earth, corners of the sky, corners of the earth, corners of the sky.
This community of care is created through our work and time together, our commitment to one another. This is our covenant to walk together in loving fellowship, to share our hopes and values. As we pass these baskets, we thank you for your generous gifts, which support the work of this religious community and Unitarian Universalism in the world at large. With hearts of gratitude, we will now receive today's offering. This congregation is a community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to its life, we affirm our lives within it. As we get grounded and centered today, let us sing together number 352 in your great hymnal, Find a Stillness. Do words matter?
Yes. Of course.
I want us to, that sounds like a simple question, but when you think about words, what are words? Are the words that I speak the power, or is it the essence behind the words, the energy, so to speak, the true power? And so, in other words, is what really matters my words, or is what really matters the energy, the power, the motivation behind the words that then give sound to that expression? And if that energy, that sound, that voice is the energy, the force of love and truth and compassion, and if that is the energy behind the sound, does the sound or the symbol of the sound really matter? So when I stand up here, if I am standing up here and expressing through this throat chakra love and compassion and kindness, does it matter what I'm really saying? And likewise, if I am standing up here and I'm actually really upset and angry and resentful, but I'm saying the right words, do those sounds really matter? So my question for us just to contemplate a little bit this morning is, what where is the true power behind the sound? Is it what the words express, or is it the expression behind the words? Just something to think about today. And I shared a story a few years ago about a friend that was coming to town, and she's a little bit intuitive, and she was coming to offer a workshop here about being grounded and centered and peaceful meditation. And we were excited to have her get here, and she walked in and she said, before I say anything to you, we need to have a conversation because I got an intuitive hit that you need to calm down. And I was like, what? And she's like, you have too much energy and you have this anger and you need to calm down or you're going to get yourself sick. And I shared this a few years ago, but what was happening, it was that time when it was that time of the, not year, this was year, it was when they just started taking kids away from their parents at the border. And so I was trying to stay calm, and I was up here and I was trying to be a peaceful presence. But what my friend could see was the anger and the resentment and the fear and the frustration that was coming out. And what she recognized was that you have to get your own grounding, you have to get your own center, or nothing that you say is going to matter, because your body is actually listening to what you're really thinking, not what the words are that you're expressing. And basically what she said was, Wendy, you have to let go of your anger and your rage. And I was like, but I don't have any rage. And then my defenses went up, and I was quickly ready to vehemently show how calm and grounded and centered I was. And I'm also a person who does trust my intuition, and I trust certain close friends who have deep intuition, and I trusted her. And so I listened to what she had to say, and I took a deep breath, and I looked inside, and I asked if indeed I was harboring emotions that I wasn't consciously aware of. And I did have to admit that at that time, I was angry. And it's okay to feel the anger. It's okay to feel the emotions. It's okay to feel anxiety. But we can't allow that energy to get stuck in our system. Because if it does, then it starts to express itself. It has to get out. And if it's not flowing through and getting out in a productive way, it's flowing through, getting stuck, and then coming out in an angry or violent or self-defeating way. And so I was thinking about that today as I was thinking about my sermon title, Find Your Stillness. And I think for the most part, when I look back at the last, well, I can't believe we're in 2023 already. I was going to say the last few years, but like this was happening in like 2016 and 2017, which is like 5 or 6 years ago. So this country has been through a lot in the last 6 or 7 years. And we've become a little bit unbalanced. And I feel like we're starting to find our center, we're starting to find our balance again. But what happens is that when a collective energy is kind of unbalanced, it impacts all of us, even if we're not consciously aware of it. And the key to finding that balance again, first of all, is to understand that we're part of it. And so what I want to talk a little bit about today is, how do we allow ourselves to be our own calm in the eye of the storm and the chaos that is going on around us. And what does that really mean, and how do we do that? And like I said, I feel like, and I don't know, I mean, we all have our own individual lives, we all have our own personal stories. And so for some of us, we may be feeling, oh, okay, things are calming down and getting a little more grounded and centered. And some of us may feel like we're just, the world is spinning out of control around us. And that's just kind of the nature of humanity. Like that's, you know, we have our ups and downs. That's just what it means to be alive. But then we also have how we interact with each other collectively. And my sense, and I don't know what you all think, but I feel like we're starting to like calm down just a little bit collectively, relative to, you know, 2016 through 2022. So it's all relative. But there's a beautiful little video that comes around Facebook every so often, and it's this father who was outside of a Walmart, and his little girl is sitting on the hood, and she has just had this major temper tantrum. And so the daughter is screaming, and the father is just very calm. And while his little girl is screaming, he's grounded and he's centered and he's talking to her. And he, in essence, says, "You're embarrassing yourself, but you're not embarrassing me." And then he says, "We're just going to let mama shop and we'll just sit right out here in the parking lot screaming. I've got all day. I'm not going anywhere. Are you done yet?" "Nope." "Okay, we'll just sit here. Your behavior isn't impacting me out here, but we don't allow that inside." He's calm, he's responsive, he's in control of his own emotions. And I think part of what that is that this father, even though the world is storming right next to him in the life of his little girl, part of the reason I think he can be grounded and centered is because he's confident in his own ability to act. He knows who he is. He knows who he is as a father. He knows what he will allow. He knows what he won't allow. He knows that he is not in a hurry, and he's just going to let the storms rage around him. And then eventually it's this beautiful little video. She calms down. They take a few deep breaths together. He says, "Are you ready to go find your mother?" She nods. He takes her hand and they go back into the store. And I think about that. It's just, he was totally in control of himself and what was going on internally. And I think one of the key points, I can stand up here and talk about, well, you just need to be grounded and centered, but what does that mean and how do you do that? And one of the things that I think about is, where do we feel confident that we can handle what is going on around us? And so the example that I use is when we have a guest speaker up here on Sunday mornings, when I'm in town at least, I never worry. I'm always excited to have a guest speaker, but I'm never worried if something happens and that person doesn't show up, because I know that I can easily and confidently come up with something to say. So I can relax knowing that I am able to handle something going wrong up here at the pulpit. Now, if we were doing a whole service based on music, and all of a sudden the choir and Joanna were like, hey, we're just like not showing up, we just had big chaos or whatever, then I think my anxiety would start building a little bit, because I'm not as confident that I can stand up here and lead a whole service worth of music. And I'm pretty confident none of you want me to be doing that. But it's just a good reminder for all of us to do a little bit of our own inner reflections. Like when we start to feel anxious, First of all, the key is we have to recognize, take some time, take a few deep breaths and say, okay, something is going on in my body. What is it? Am I feeling angry right now? Am I feeling scared right now? Am I feeling anxious right now? Like, am I feeling excited? Am I feeling love? Am I feeling compassion? Am I feeling pity? What actually am I feeling on an unconscious level? And then when we can bring that unconscious energy into our conscious mind, when we can name it, then we can say, okay, this is a little bit of anxiety. All right, what is the anxiety about? Well, the anxiety is, I'm not sure that my car is going to start tomorrow and I have to make sure I am at this appointment. All right, so how do we get ourselves in control of that external circumstance? All right, maybe I need to have a plan B. Do I have somebody that I know I can call today and say, can I call you tomorrow morning in case this happens? So it's really about how are we allowing ourselves to be in control of our own reactions in a world that oftentimes leaves us feeling out of control. And part of the anxiety, I think, happens is when we also decide that we have to be in control of something that we don't actually have control over. That can be very stressful too. And for example, I don't have the same conglomeration of animals anymore. I always have a conglomeration of animals. But a few years ago, my conglomeration of animals was a little small poodle and a big 100-pound husky Rottweiler mix named Neo. And when we would go for walks, if Neo's the big one, Pepper's the little one, if it was just Pepper, we would go outside on that leash and she's yapping around everywhere. But when I take her with Neo, and she just would follow right behind Neo, this big, confident, gentle giant, she would just calm right down because she was not trying to be in control of something she knew she didn't know how to handle. When she knew that, and Neo was always calm because he knew how to handle people, dogs coming up to him. He wasn't scared of that. And so Pepper wasn't scared of that. And so it's taking that time to think, where am I control? What can I handle? What can't I handle? And am I trying to handle something that I'm not actually prepared or qualified to be in control of? And if not, then how do we navigate it so that we're not trying to be in control of something? And this We Shelter is happening this week, and Sherry Cool came and talked to our chaplaincy class last month. And I asked her, I said, how do you not get stressed out when you are organizing all of these programs and there are so many people that are coming to you with their own anxiety and their own need and their own chaotic life situation, and you're always just so calm? And she said, I know how to handle it. She said, and I'm thinking about this still, and I'm going to reflect on this for a while. She said, when I started this job as the director of Grand Valley Peace and Justice, she said, they told me that this job would just exhaust me and I wouldn't be able to last more than 10 years. And she said, but they didn't know me. And I love the way that she just said that. She said, but they didn't know me. And it was because she has her own spiritual practice. She has her paradigm and her philosophy of who she is choosing to be in the world. And she has confidence in her ability to deal with that. And therefore she can be in this situation that's a little bit random and chaotic because she's not spinning with all of the people spinning around her. And I think about that because we all have a different skill set and we all have different gifts. And so when we are aligned with our purpose and our potential, might we all, in the right circumstances, be able to say, yes, but they don't know me. And I just invite us to think about that, because not everybody is going to be a Sherry Cole. And not everybody is going to be able to stand up here on a Sunday morning and talk to 100 people. And not everybody is going to be a Joanna and know how to like lead a choir. But when we're in the right alignments, it kind of doesn't matter, because that's when we've found our center. I'm looking at Catherine on Wednesday nights. She comes in and she has just this quiet confidence as she is preparing these wonderful smelling meals for UU night. And it's just a confidence. And, you know, I can look at her and be like, I don't know what to do with this food. And she's like, we have onions and we have garlic and we have potatoes, and just you go away and let me chop. That's that calm inner strength. I'm not like that, but I can be like that up here. And so my invitation for us, every one of us, I promise you, has that place where you can find that inner stillness. And if you haven't found it yet, give yourself a little bit of time to think about it. I'm looking at Andrea, gonna put her on the spot, but you've shared with me when you're on the river and she goes down these rapids that I certainly wouldn't know how to do. I can't read water currents, but there's this stillness and there's this calm and there's this, I'm speaking for you now, but this sense of inner peace and stillness. We all have it, and it's not going to look the same for any of us. And so that's my invitation today, is take some time this week to find your stillness. And if this request is too much, then find some time in the next month or so to come talk to me. And maybe we can think about how do we find that together, because in this crazy, chaotic world, if any of us are going to survive happily and at peace and with joy and with loving kindness, we have to have that life skill. And now is the time. It's time for us to figure out that life skill. So that is my invitation. And even I practiced what I preach, because I wanted to close today with one of my favorite hymns, Meditation on Breathing, but I certainly don't know how to teach that to everybody. So I called Peg on Friday and said, Peg, can you lead this closing hymn? And she, in her calm, loving presence, said, I know how to do that. So I'm going to invite Peg up, and she's going to lead us in our meditation on breathing.
What's in your teal book? 1009.
1009, and I'm going to ask Janet and Walter if they might come up and help do this, because there's 3 parts to this. A lot of you have done this before, but I know there's people here that have not done this. So when you look at this page, you see a melody, a drone, and a descant. And we'll start out with the drone, which is the breathe in, breathe out. That's the 3rd line down. And we'll sing that. And then Walter, if you can just continue the drone. Yeah. And then we'll do the melody, which is the top line. And Janet, if you will continue that. And then after we've done that for a while, then I'll sing the descant, and anybody who wants to do the descant. So it's up to you. You can stay with the drone. That's the easiest part, because it's just breathe in, breathe out. Walter will be continuing that. The melody, you can continue with that. Go back and forth, and then I'll do the descant. You can join with the descant. I use this, I mean, this was perfect for this sermon because I use this when I'm feeling anxious or upset, and I'll be walking and I'll start singing this. So we'll all start in with the breathe in. Okay. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
We extinguish this flame, that not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Peg, will you sing? Go. Start us. Wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take. May love guide you on.